see Alex.
That is me.
Hello, and welcome to tonight's Vorpal board stream. Tonight, I have two special guests with me. I have the guys from Howling Hog Games. I have Austin and Alex. Austin, Alex, how are you doing?
Doing well.
Good.
And we're going to be streaming their upcoming game. This is a game that is not released. It's called LumberJerks. And they're going to be bringing it to Kickstarter sometime later this summer, guys, right?
Yep.
Yeah, late summer, most likely.
Late summer, okay, cool.
Early fall.
Depending on how you set your calendars.
It'll be ready when it's ready, which is a good thing. And so the game is a fast-to-play family card game, and it's got actually a lot of kind of cool mechanics in it. We'll go over the rules and kind of exactly what we're going to be trying to accomplish. We're going to play a 3-player game today, but I'm going to start with just asking you guys, peppering you with some questions about your second game. So this is the second time you've been on a Vorpal board stream. The first was for your successfully kickstarted Curse of Misfortune Lane, which was from 2018, and I believe you guys are fully fulfilled. Is that true?
Yeah, unless someone emails me and tells me otherwise, we are.
Which would be a great time for somebody to do so. But as far as we are aware at this time, everybody has received their copy.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We are delivered.
We pulled off the impossible and delivered that game about 3 months early.
And that includes our high tier backers who had
like a
custom
premium
characters.
copy.
Yeah.
You didn't have anybody like meet the designers or have dinner with the designer tiers or
No,
anything?
yeah, we didn't have like date the designer pledge tiers.
We're saving off all those auctions for this one here.
Yeah.
So
we're waiting. I was gonna say we're waiting for the lumber sexuals before we allow people to actually introduce themselves to us personally.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Tormund, Giant Bane, to show up. And back
right,
this game.
yeah. So that's cool. So you are not at risk of having any Kickstarters later this summer canceled because you have not fulfilled your first Kickstarter, which is like
Right.
True.
I've heard about that
big
drama.
thing that's happening kind of right now. So good
Yeah.
that you guys are done because maybe you would have gotten the big axe.
Yeah.
Axe.
Sounds good.
Oh,
Thank you. Tree puns. Okay, so this one is with the same artist, and like the art from Curse of Misfortune Lane, I really like. It's like a monster movie, and it's got really kind of, I don't know, graphic novel style art. Like it's really contrasty and nice. And this one is similar. You're going to see the cards tonight, but that's cool. How is it working with the same artist? Was it easier going a second time, like now that you've been working together, or how did that go?
Well, it was a whole different beast, even working with the same artist. So the artist's name is Dave Collinson. I always feel guilty if artist comes up as a title and not an actual name. And he did the art for Misfortune Lane, and that was more of an ongoing process of telling him what we wanted and getting different iterations back. And we were pretty nitpicky. But LumberJerks is actually a project that Dave started before us. This is something that he had maybe 80% in the bag as a project that never really went anywhere. He didn't take it to that next level. And we saw some of the art, and that the art for this game actually is the first thing I saw when I contacted him to be the artist for Misfortune Lane. So this may be the second game that comes out, but it's sort of the origin story of Misfortune Lane's art. And so we're taking on game design and publishing sort of role in this one, where Dave really had so much of this put together, and we've been tweaking the balance, sort of getting the gameplay right. But we can't take any personal credit for really any of the art. Like in Misfortune Lane, he did all the art, but at least we had ideas. But this art direction is entirely Dave's, so it's really exciting.
So that's kind of cool because the first game, it was like you guys were learning what you were doing, right? And now I assume that doing a second Kickstarter, you know a lot of stuff from that first experience that makes essentially like the publisher job for this game way smoother, right? You know, like how you're going to fulfill, how you're going to source stuff, how to set up all the Kickstarter nonsense, how to build your audience in advance, like all those things. And you were able to turn this around really quick. You know, it's not like you had another year development cycle or something. So that's cool.
Yeah, definitely. We've had time to work on some other secret projects in the background, but yeah, the biggest change between this Kickstarter and the last one is that we have all those relationships intact. We're using the same fulfillment center, we're using the same manufacturer. Like, we really feel like we have kind of the assembly line prearranged, which is really exciting, because the fact that we managed to deliver early last time while we were figuring it out gives me a lot of hope that we can at least deliver early again this time.
But you're not gonna guarantee that one.
No, not at all. No. Whatever we put on the Kickstarter is our actual estimate.
Okay, cool. So are you guys kind of trying to find a sweet spot for Howling Hog that's kind of like small box card game, accessible? Like, I mean, is that what you want to be doing? I mean, this is your second one, or are you going to kind of like branch out and do a new thing each time?
Alex, feel free to cut me off at any point, but
I'm waiting to bite.
It's tricky. I don't necessarily want to get too niche with Howling Hog. We've talked about it before, where it almost feels like if we do another small box, you know, ages 8 and up, 10 and up, family friendly, shorter game, that we should almost create like an imprint or some sort of like shell company just for bigger box games, because I do like the idea of developing some sort of reputation, but I'm hesitant to let our game design sort of get locked into some sort of model. You know, we're really open to any project that it's fun to make and fun to play, we're going to do. Alex, do you want to correct me?
Yeah, no, it's a great point, because I similarly, like, this game is the second game we either designed or published like this. It's a great game to play with my daughter. It's a great game to play with my nephews. It's not the game that I necessarily want to play personally at the end of the day. I would love to create a game that is what I want to play personally. I'd love to try to build Gloomhaven, you know, or something that's about 10% of Gloomhaven, which would still be a pretty large, impressive game. But yeah, as it stands, like we've kind of set a path for ourselves where I always complain that I'm fearful we're going to become the Leonard Nimoy of like small box games, where everybody looks at us, it's like, yeah, they can't do anything else. And I don't want that to happen. But that was actually kind of the benefit of this being a published game for us instead of a developed game, because it allowed us to try to keep on our loose timeline of making sure we release like 1 to 2 games in this year, but start that development process a little earlier, because it was kind of as if we had taken on a third company member to kind of work on something else while we could continue to chip away at something larger.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, and I just want to throw out there, the X factor that we're skipping over is money. Like, to be honest, like, the smaller the game, the cheaper it is to make, the shorter amount of time you have to spend making it. Like, I'd like to think that Howling Hog will, as we grow as a company, so will the complexity of the games that we put out. Just because, I mean, it is very involved just to make a small box game. A medium box game is a whole different ball game. So we're working up to it. So don't count us out on that yet.
I think that's cool though, right? Because like, you're able to bite off chunks and learn and build, right? Instead of, there are some people who either via extreme talent or luck or whatever are able to go out and build crazy things and do it all in one big, like, swallow the meal all at the same time. But like, that seems like kind of a lottery ticket direction, you know, where like a lot of people fail trying to do that as well. So, you know, I don't know, jumping in slightly and building up seems like a really smart idea to me.
Especially because a lot of times you'll see these companies and it looks like they've done nothing before, then they'll produce a game and it's like, oh my goodness, how did these guys? But you start to click on those individual employees' resumes and realize it's like, oh yeah, this guy worked for 10 years for Wizards of the Coast, and this guy, you know, was over here, and it's like, oh, they haven't been doing this company, but they know the game, and this was an environment where we didn't. And so starting low impact, low risk, somewhat low reward, but just across the board where everything was more manageable at this point, I think was because it's like you said, we didn't want to be the company that failed our Kickstarters like commitments. We didn't want to promise something to people and not be able to deliver it. And so that's where we had to kind of try to gauge that, because we didn't want to promise people that we could get a game to them in a year and then cancel.
Yeah, you didn't want to start like hiring sculptors for your minis and start,
right.
you know, like even producing something like this has lots of hurdles, right? Like as soon as you start looking into how am I going to ship it from the factory in China to the UK or to Canada or whatever.
Yeah.
Insane complexity. And to try to do that at the same time as also find like a meeple manufacturer or whatever the hell, you know, like that, it makes me like get hives just thinking about that kind of complexity. So I think this is a really impressive and smart way to go about things. I'm sure that sometimes it drives you guys a little bit crazy as designers if you want to like get into doing like a large scale design, but you know, you get there.
It takes time.
Yeah, it does. And that's what so far it seems like our standard practice is that we create a game, or in this case, review a created game. And then the first thing we do is say, okay, what do we cut out across the board? What branches can we chop, on every side of this? Sponsored by.
Sponsored by trees.
I don't know if trees want to start sponsoring board games. That doesn't seem in their best interest.
True, very true.
Because that, again, it was I know we mentioned that on the Curse of Misfortune stream, that when we started the game, it had over 250 cards, and it ended with 80. And that was the first conversation we had to have with Dave when we went to publish this game. It was like, okay, there are cards things we want to change. The first step is going to be removing about half of the like literal content that is here.
Look at that! You guys are the man now. You guys take designs, you cut them down to the bone, and you get them out, which is, I don't know, I think there's a skill to that, and having the experience doing it and then getting like play tests and getting feedback and all that, like it's just going to make the whole process better the third time and the fourth time and whatever. So that's cool.
That's our goal.
Yep.
Okay. So Summer, Austin, you're about to get married.
Yes.
When do you leave, Austin?
I leave tomorrow morning, assuming this tornado doesn't carry me off. Yeah, there's a tornado and a wedding. I've got a lot going on over here, guys.
Yeah, it's a lot of balls that you have in the air. Staying alive and also getting married.
Yeah, which for me is one and the same.
So, so you guys are still working remotely.
Yeah.
You're doing kind of like a whole new process this time, doing publishing versus design and development. How was the run up, or how is, I guess, the run up to the Kickstarter been, like kind of like stress level and mania wise? Is doing it a second time, like it demystifies the whole process such that it's like a lot more comfortable? Because for me, we're doing our first Kickstarter right now. There was tons of mania, like we were like spinning in a circle before we launched the thing. And is it the second time like kind of like, oh, this is old hat, I've done this before?
I don't know if we could fully answer that question yet, because this Kickstarter is launching far enough out that I don't know if we have really formed an opinion. But it does feel like we've seen behind the curtain of Kickstarter, and that takes a lot of the potential stress away of wondering like, oh no, if I hit this button, there's a chance they'll review it and take it all away, or I don't know, like are all these pictures going to be blurry? Is this going to work? And I think that we feel a lot more competent in getting the campaign together. The biggest thing that I think we've learned is that when you start a Kickstarter campaign, you probably need that many assets prepared along the way too. Like even if you don't have stretch goals, which we didn't have in Misfortune Lane, trying to keep things digestible for us as a new company, but just having like new campaign photos for when you're X funded, or if you fund in X hours and putting that up there. And updating campaign as you go and really having a dynamic page that grows, because those backers are there and they're commenting every couple days, and you want to give them something to see. You want it not to become stale, which Vorpal board has been great at doing, because it's just constantly streaming more games and more footage. So
yeah, a lot of streaming, which is different than like a board game, right? Like you can go on podcasts and go on YouTube channels and stuff, but it's for us, the lucky thing is like, hey, I can just play a different game tonight and record some new content and then update people,
No, it's been great from our perspective, because it's like, I wonder what new game they're going to play. Like, I can learn about games and just see new things that I haven't seen yet. Because
we actually, the other night, we were playing Zombicide on our dev stream, and like a lot of people hadn't seen it before. And so that was kind of a tough viewing experience, I think, for folks, just because they didn't know what the heck was going on.
Right, and you guys weren't necessarily taking that time to explain.
Yeah, we've been balancing like how much rules do you want to talk about. Like it's not really like an explainer video, but then some people just sort of like bounce out if they don't know what the heck is going on. So it's kind of a weird juggling act a little bit. But yeah, you're right. I think that nowadays the expectations of backers is that stuff is changing and there's new things hitting, and like this becomes kind of something I want to be a part of as it grows. And if you just sort of like don't get in the comments and you just leave it as is, like I think you're in danger of people kind of like getting bored and taking off halfway through. Cool. All right, so I say we jump in and we do a session.
That sounds great.
I'm going to do a little primer for everybody that's watching. Tonight I'm doing something a little bit different. So this is the first stream where you've actually been able to sort of see my table, because I've been getting a lot of feedback just around being able to sort of see the mechanics of how Vorpal board works. So what we have here is I have one Moto G Android phone from like 2015 mounted over my board, and that's what's taking high-res photos of the trees. And so this is the play area that I'm going to have locally here, which is kind of like a score track, but there's some other things that happen. And then to my left, it looks to my right on the stream, but to my left is the card scanning box. And this is where I'll be scanning in the cards that Austin and Alex and I will use to actually play the game. And in that card scanning box, I have another cell phone. And this is an Android Pixel, and it just sits in here and is going to scan cards as I put them in. And all right, so the goal of this game is to chop down your tree. And each one of us has a tree on the play field here. This one on the left-hand side is going to be Alex's, and this is Austin's in the middle, and this is mine on the right. And they're made of 7 cards, and every time you chop a portion of the tree, you start at the bottom, you flip over the numbered card, and then it changes from like this nicely colored happy tree to kind of a gray,
brutalized tree,
chopped tree. And as you go, it's kind of a cool visual aesthetic. Your trees become more and more chopped, and then you can kind of see how close everyone is to finishing chopping their tree. And whoever gets to the 7, it will get a timber, and that's the win if they hit the timber. So we're each going to be trying to start to chop our tree. The way that you chop the tree is to roll dice, and you have to roll a 3+ on the dice. And there's going to be some cards that change the dice rolls as we go. You can put animals in each other's trees to make it harder to chop the trees down. You can play jerk cards to try to affect other people's rolls. You can make the trees grow back a little bit. So you're going to see kind of like all those different types of cards as we're dealing them out. And everyone starts with 2 cards, and so I'm going to get going on just dealing these out. So we'll say these are Alex's.
Great.
So we don't have anybody fighting over the cards.
And an important disclaimer we didn't give earlier, there will be some minor alignment issues and border issues with the cards. These are prototype manufacturing based on trying to get them into James's hands as fast as possible, not necessarily getting them perfect. So if you see like part of the word chop cut off, or like the nice wood border on cards that would otherwise be there isn't there, that's why. So there's a little bit of extra visual that'll be on the actual cards in the Kickstarter campaign and the copies that people receive. And speaking of visuals, the bat cave I'm in is getting more and more bat-like. I'm going to turn on the light, so give me just a second.
And it also, I think you guys are being too hard on yourselves about the prototype. I think it looks really good for a prototype. I mean, there's a little bit of like, there's a couple of little graphics that are been cut off or whatever, but I think largely it's in pretty good shape as it sits right now.
Yeah, it's tough because we have some reviewers and some playtesters who really judge us on the presentation, even though that is clearly not the point of a playtest.
Yeah.
And so we try to gauge people's expectations about that. We try to make sure we're explicit in what they are getting, because we do have to make sure, like we are not using our same manufacturer.
Oh yeah, because this was just for the prototype, right? So it's going to be theoretically a different manufacturer once the real game gets done.
Yes.
Yeah,
so this is a domestic manufacturer.
Got it.
That we only use for our playtest copies. It's for fast turnover, just to get these in people's hands as swiftly as possible.
Cool.
This way we don't have to wait on something to ship from China to reach you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll explain kind of what just happened in the system there. So we support card secrecy. So you can see that I picked up 2 of these cards, and the 2 cards are mine. They have this green line underneath them, and the green line indicates the same green color as me. And you guys who are watching on the stream are able to see the contents of my card, but Austin and Alex are not able to see the contents of my card. And then I cannot see the contents of their card. Austin, I'm actually going to move these. Are you cool to have them in this zone right here?
Oh yeah, that's totally fine.
Okay. And then Alex, I actually need to move your cards too. You showed me your cards.
I did?
Yeah, you gotta pick them up.
I thought
There you go. All right, cool. So there you saw Alex flipped them over by accident instead of hiding them from me. And then if you're okay, we'll put them right here, and then I can see them. Okay, so those are the hands, and then as we're playing cards, we'll flip them over, and you'll kind of see how that works. Just based on where you guys are, Alex, you can go first.
Cool.
Oh man.
Wow, that's a great start. So if you roll
Garbage.
a 6,
this is what
then
happens when you
chop
play the
2
creators.
branches.
And then
So as you can see, he got 2 chops because he got the critical chop by rolling a 6. All right, so you're going to chop again, and then you can just delete the card after you're done with it.
Do that great flush.
Whoosh! There it goes. A 4. This is gonna be a quick game.
Yeah.
It's that developer's advantage, or developer,
Yeah.
as if we develop.
Publisher's
Yeah.
advantage. You hacked into Vorpal board and changed the probability on the dice.
Was I not supposed to be rolling a d12?
Oh, we actually broke the rules a little bit. I was supposed to give you a card before you played, right?
You were, but that's okay. Honestly,
Yeah, he got 3 branches, so don't pity him.
Yeah. I'm not pitying him. I just want to make sure the viewers understand that I don't want anybody coming in and saying that I was cheating afterward.
Mm.
All right, Austin.
All right, I'll go ahead and roll. Yay!
Look at this. Is anybody gonna roll under a 3?
That's why you're here, James.
Awful.
Okay.
I remember playing Curse of Misfortune with you.
And then your new card's in, Austin.
Yep. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Okay, cool. I'm going to go ahead and throw some, let's see, magic beans Alex's way. Can he see those now?
I can.
Okay.
All right, so magic beans are a grow card, and what that does is it will grow back the top chop that a player has achieved. So now Alex has knocked one rung down. All right, so it's my turn. Here come those 1s, baby. Oh.
Okay. Well, now I just feel inadequate.
Right.
Thanks for coming to play.
Yeah, there's a tornado coming for you, and you're rolling not as good as Alex. All right. Before we came on stream, we were giving Alex a lot of grief about his keyboard.
Yeah, and that apparently didn't convince him to type quieter. He's still just pounding away.
No, I love it. I support the clicking keyboards. I'm a software engineer. I don't care.
It's good to realize I've actually each time I do it, I've been putting my mic on mute. But you guys can still hear me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow, I gotta take this back.
Oh, maybe you must be coming through you're probably coming through your camera.
I must be.
Yeah.
Which I apologize if that's affecting my audio quality.
No,
your audio quality. Yeah, you sound great. Other than your keyboard is also a participant.
Yeah, your mute key is not working. So.
Good to know.
All right, so I'm gonna play a grow on Alex.
Yeah, that's the correct choice. Playing it on me would just be rude.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I apologize. I was trying to be conscious of the
Oh no,
keyboard.
totally fine. Okay, so Alex is up.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
And so for folks at home, you're actually kind of, for the first time ever, able to see me kind of scan the cards in. And this is kind of like in any game how it works. I just take them off the deck, put them in the thing, they appear in the game, and then the guys can work with them.
Oh.
All right, so a chop again got played, and then a 3 gives Alex a successful chop.
Nice.
This is, I love some of the art on these cards.
I do. I think they're really good. I've been very happy with the art. I think it looks great. Before you delete it, I'm actually looking at it. I know you. Oh, you guys can probably tell that I'm pointing at it. So.
Yeah, and I was actually doing the same thing on my side. It's...
Without the zoom in, it just looks like you're stroking the arm of the card.
Hey, who's to tell that I'm not?
Vorpal board is a user-based experience. You use it however you want.
Okay.
All right,
so
I'm
Alex's
gonna roll.
turn. Oh yeah, you get a roll, right, for the roll again?
I did, and it was a chop.
Man, I'm losing it. All right,
it's all good. We're all caught up.
Oh, that works. That makes sense. I got a 1.
And I'm actually gonna scan in a back of a card too here, just to sort of show off what that looks like, because I do like the sort of the character art.
It's really nice being able to see you do that. It literally takes 1 second.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. Yeah. Cool. So this is what the LumberJerks, the backs of the cards look like, which is really nice. It's the same graphic on the box as well. But really neat. I like the art style. Kill that one. All right, Austin, what are you doing?
Okay, good question. I'm gonna go ahead and play this little fella against
you're behind
you,
your camera.
James.
Let me figure out a spot for your camera. There we go. Oh, come on.
Yeah, a little wildlife to slow you down.
Tweety bird noise to play, but I don't. So, all right. So the way wildlife works, so Austin now gives me a -1 to my rolls. So if I roll, now I need to roll a 4 to successfully chop the tree.
And it looks like we can rotate these. That's nice. Yeah. There we go.
So cool. And then, am I hearing a bird somewhere?
I hear it as well, and I was trying to figure out where that was coming from.
That is me. Apparently, a couple birds survived the tornado, and they're at my window.
Well, if I've learned anything from recent film, that's a sign of life.
Yeah, that was really weird. Like, cause the card got played, and then
did I not tell you LumberJerks is going to be in 4D? Is one of the features of this particular game.
Yeah, I was a little confused because James, you said it. You were like, if I had a sound animation I could play, I'd love to do it right now. And then as you say, I'm sitting there listening to it. I'm like, is this a game? Is this what's happening?
Right. Yeah, is this some sort of inception that I'm doing on you guys? Okay. So I got wildlifed, but it's only a -1. So I'm going to try to roll through it, which means I need to roll a 4+. So I did have an option there, and I'm sure you'll actually see this, of skipping my turn instead of rolling And if I do that, I can get wildlife out of my tree for free. But if I skip my turn, I don't get to draw a card or do any of this cool stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wildlife Alex.
Oh, man.
Sorry, dude.
This is all part of my plan to lose at first and then just soar through my tree.
Yeah, and I love the wildlife art, whereas like the last game kind of had that Monster Squad feel.
Yep.
This one is very Looney Tunes.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, anthropomorphized animals. They're really cool. Oh man, now the roll's all gone cold. Yeah, and my children love that there's a badger. Because we're all Badger fans here for Wisconsin Badgers, so
which is a sports team, I guess, is the
and a school. Yes, a school.
Oh, okay.
I went to the University of Wisconsin, and my wife did as well. So we're indoctrinating our children into that fandom.
Nice.
Already. So
I think I knew at least one of the viewers we had a moment ago. I don't know if they're in there anymore, but they were from Wisconsin.
Oh,
that was
really?
One of my clickety clacks that you guys had to deal with. It was me communicating with somebody than us thanking for spectating, but
cool.
I wasn't going to force them into chat if they didn't want to be there. So
yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, sorry, you guys are waiting on me to decide what to do, and I will just try again, and I will fail.
Yeah, because that -1.
It's true.
It gets you. All right, here I go. No animals on me. Yeah.
Okay.
That card.
Successful chop. And if you skip your turn to get rid of wildlife, you don't get to draw a card, which is kind of the strategic decision. Sometimes you keep rolling into a bad situation just so you can keep drawing. And Austin, I got this card over here for you too.
Oh yeah, I guess I should consider this first.
Right.
Let's see. Nope. I'm gonna go ahead and put a jerk card face down, which the card I play this turn is not active, but it's more powerful, and at any point in the game, whether it's my turn or not, I can go ahead and flip that over and have the effects happen instantaneously. So
But Austin, could you play it right now?
Yes.
Cool.
I put it face down right now.
Right now, but my point was like it also can be activated the turn you played it.
Yes, I could also flip it over right now. I won't because I can see what it is, and it would do me no good. But
yeah, I was actually about to ask that exact same question because we've had that scenario come up that I didn't know if you were allowed to immediately flip it or you had to wait until a subsequent turn. But now I know.
Right. Yep. You can treat it as your card you play that turn, or you can treat it as a trap you lay for later. So
cool. All right.
Hey, you did it.
All right, so I get my chop, and
can you trash that, or does it have to be me since it's in my? Oh no. Okay, it's gone.
Okay, so if you're able to bypass the wildlife, you do get it out of your tree at the same time. So that's kind of your benefit of taking the chance of rolling into a hard roll.
There is a pun somewhere in here about 2 birds, but I'm not sure where it is yet, so I'm just gonna leave it.
We'll wait until 2 birds show up at my window, and then we'll activate the pun.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna.
Oh no! The dreaded badger. No wonder
there he
is. That's the family badger.
Yeah. Yeah. And where do you guys normally play them? Do you play them over?
I normally put them just a little bit off to the side where they overlap but don't sort of cover up, so you know what's chopped or not chopped.
Yeah, we've been doing it as well.
And I've always done it like at the
next junction.
Yeah, at the attempted chop.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I think it's Alex's turn.
I think so as well.
If you can call that a turn.
I'm over here like typing and changing all the rolls.
Once again. Well, I don't know. James, you look lonely, so
who is
it? Try
Raccoon?
It is.
There he is.
It is a trash panda.
I like how happy they all look. Like
they are
thrilled to be in the tree.
That's why they're so inhibiting.
Yeah, just that they have boundless energy.
You don't want to hurt them.
All right. So what are you doing, Austin? You gonna roll into this?
Well, I'm gonna get that card you're gonna hand me, right?
No, you roll first.
Yeah, roll first.
Oh, you're right. Wow.
Or skip your turn if you want to get rid of this spam.
No. I got it. Boom.
Wow.
How do you like that?
Jeez.
Done and done.
Yeah, I was playing with my son tonight, and he had a -3. He had a deer in his tree, and like I kept telling him, like, "Hey, do you want to skip your turn?" And he's like, "No." And he'd roll, and he'd get like a 4, and then he'd look at me like, "Why don't I get to chop the tree?" And I kept trying to explain to him, like, no, it's a -3, man. So eventually I had to force him, like, you have to skip a turn. You can't keep doing this. Okay, so you succeeded.
In your son's defense, he's like 4, right?
He's 4, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's only 1 year older than the number you were asking him to say.
Yeah, he's entertaining to play because every jerk card he gets, he knows to put him down, so he'll put him down. And I'll say, "Do you know what that one does?" And he'll say, "Yep." And then I'll say, "Okay, tell me, whisper it to me." And then he leans over and he says, "I don't know what it is." But yeah, my kids have been loving it. I've been
That's awesome.
shocked at their desire to continue to play this. So good work, guys.
That's
Chop
the goal.
again with
what we're trying to accomplish.
Oh.
All right, so you are.
Speaking of what we're trying to accomplish, 2 branches, please.
Yeah, you are getting close to a win here, Austin.
I called it ahead of time. I told you guys it's a slow burn.
Yep, and you have so Austin has this jerk card here that can do all sorts of stuff. Sometimes it'll like inhibit other players. Sometimes it'll pull wildlife out of your tree. Sometimes it'll help your rolls. Sometimes it'll hurt other people's rolls. So as us two, we just have to sit here and wait and know that he's gonna screw us over at some point, which is
good. Yeah. It's and it may be something that helps me, but I leave it here hoping you guys think that it helps me get rid of wildlife, so you don't bother as much. I'm trying to play some mind games.
Always
it's ages 8 and up, but I'm trying to bring that like an extra level.
All right, so I'm in a bad position, but I'm very uncomfortable with how close Austin is to being finished. So I'm just gonna roll so I can draw a card and potentially play a card. Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered even if I had not
had no raccoon.
Yeah, no raccoon. I still wouldn't have gotten it. Okay, so let's see. Hopefully I get something that I can do. All right, yeah, I'm gonna play a grow.
Okay.
Austin.
I understand.
Austin's like, I'll allow it.
Yeah, the game master is letting it pass.
Every time I see that fertilizer card, I think of the scene in Jurassic Park where they just walk upon that huge pile of dinosaur dung.
Yep.
That's the game I keep trying to get us to make, is just any game centered on dinosaurs.
Yeah, that and dinosaurs.
Well, we have a lot of competition right now.
Yeah, like everybody fell on dinosaurs for a little while there.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs and Mars.
Yeah.
That's the game I want, is dinosaurs in Mars.
That's it. You combine the two. That'd be good.
Dinosauring Mars. I think we've got it. We trademark.
Awful. Tyrannosauring Mars.
Okay, I'm gonna do.
That's even worse. That's an impressive skill. Most people can't stoop below my level.
Is this effectively face down for you guys? Is that accomplished?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm playing a jerk card face down for the time being.
All right, I'm gonna roll and get a nice 6. Okay, almost as good.
11. Okay.
Do you guys have other voice options for who announces those numbers? Like, can I get a British voice that tells me 11?
We use the default sort of Android and iOS voices, and like depending on your iOS or Android version, you do have other options. You can make it like male or female, so you can customize it to how you feel.
Cool. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and play some of this dinosaur dung on James.
Jeez, we're getting rocked, Alex.
I know. This little, I'm gonna call it a fox squirrel. I don't think it's just a normal squirrel. It's like a. I don't know. James? Did you grow up on the Labyrinth? Did you watch that movie?
Oh yeah, yep.
It's got that. It kind of reminds me of Sir Didymus.
Okay, yeah.
It's kind of what I'm seeing.
He rolls in on his dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
All I know about that movie is that there are a lot of crotch shots and puppets.
There's
so
a right amount of crotch
for
shots.
adults.
This is
Not for
crazy,
children.
Alex, because I'm not making this up. An hour and a half ago, I had a conversation about Labyrinth with my wife.
That's because it's a phenomenal movie.
And you know what? It was about the scene where that woman keeps trying to convince her to put everything on her back.
Yeah. She's like, "Oh, you don't want to get rid of this one.
You don't want to get rid of the teddy. You don't want to get rid of your teddy. You know, that is a terrifying scene.
It's haunting.
And it's not just because I saw it when I was 6. It actually is terrifying. I think if I watched it today, I would be uncomfortable about that scene.
Well, and because it's right after the masquerade,
Yes.
which is equally awful, and like now, especially as a kid. But like, I loved that movie growing up, and I still do. And I look back and I'm like, why was I not just horribly terrified the entire
I have it on
time?
Blu-ray. I don't know when I will ever show my children that movie. I'm gonna wait until they're married.
I've never seen this movie, and a part of me wants to keep the mystery alive. Like every time I hear about the movie, it grows a little bit more.
You know, it's been a few years since I've watched it, so there's always that risk that it like doesn't hold up at all, and it's like awful to watch. But like that movie is so surreal that I think it might actually still hold up.
Nice.
I'm gonna watch it this weekend.
Can you use Vorpal board and I'll join you?
It's just I put the TV behind me and we just watch it together. Yeah.
You joke, but I have frequently found myself wondering, like, when are we gonna get like a great streaming service where I can like watch movies or TV shows with people I care about on the screen, just like Vorpal board.
So Xbox Live had that.
I'm sorry, did you name a non-Sony, non-Nintendo video gaming service? I didn't know that they made those.
But this is like eons ago. Like they had it when they had that game 1v100. Do you remember that? Where like you could play a trivia game against a bunch of other people.
Oh yes. Yeah.
They also had like a watch movies with your friend, but you had to buy the movie on their like platform.
Well, of course, otherwise.
But it was that you could like do audio chat while the movie was on, and I don't know if they had a video camera at the time, but now they'd have one. I think that's a good idea. Maybe I'll just abandon the Vorpal board thing and start.
We'll give it another like 3 or 4 days, but after that, I say go for it.
Oh man, I'm gonna pull the dagger out of my mouth. Yeah, we have 4 days left in our Kickstarter campaign, and we do have a ways to go. So we're gonna see how the next 4 days hold up. Okay, so I believe it was my turn, right?
Yes.
All right. So
I think I just threw some manure at you.
I'm just gonna go ahead and skip my turn to get rid of this this awful raccoon. So your turn, Alex.
I am not going to do that.
And Vorpal board has had several really good days in a row, so
it's speeding up. Yeah. You know, it's the type of thing where we have a lot of followers. For people who don't know a lot about like Kickstarter campaigns, you can see how many people have clicked the remind me button, that little heart button, and then you can also see how many people who have clicked that button, how many of them have backed you, and so you can kind of see like a conversion rate excuse me, of your followers. And we have like a ton of followers and a extremely low conversion rate of those followers. So we're kind of hoping that in the next couple days, those people will be coming back to the campaign and backing us and getting us to the goal. So we'll see.
I'm gonna grow some of Austin's tree.
All right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, Austin.
All right, here we go. 6. Okay, still a chop. So I'll take it.
Yeah, and we've been getting a lot of comments and stuff, so people definitely are coming to the campaign in greater numbers. But we'll just see if we have enough time to pull it off. You know, the clock is running against us a little bit.
Yeah. Well, we're rooting for you. I have a $125 pledge that I would really like to. I want that money to go away. You know.
I'll figure out some way to make it go away, either or otherwise.
I'm gonna go ahead and throw this at. Well, you're both doing so poorly. I guess you.
Oh, come on. All right. I'm gonna
Here's
roll
your little
into
Tweety
it.
bird.
Let's see. Okay, so
Oh,
it's
would
a
have been so
bummer
good.
because it does get me rid of the bird, which is good, but I
Yep.
don't get the critical roll, so I don't get the benefit of rolling the 6. It turns into a 5.
Yep.
So that's a bummer. Okay. Oh no, I flipped it over. You guys would have
Oh no, we saw.
Did you?
By the way, this is the first time I've rolled dice in Vorpal board.
Yeah.
It's very satisfying.
The noise.
Like as someone who has used what's the D&D site, Alex?
Roll20.
Yeah, not satisfying at all. Like I find it feels audibly. I almost feel like it's happening. Like it's a very visceral experience to roll dice in Vorpal board.
Yeah, we I think I found the first free wave file that was a dice noise, and then I put that in there.
It's satisfying. It works.
It's perfect.
Like,
Yeah, because it's the good balance between Roll20, which is just that I go over here and I click a button and I finally get rid of this stupid.
Yeah.
Get out of here, Sir Didymus.
Yeah, we'll probably be looking. The one thing that we wanted to add, and we haven't had a chance to do it, is if you click your mouse button and hold it down, and then like drag back and forth, it would just keep making the rolling noise, like as if you're like rolling your dice in your hand, and then when you let go, it would appear. Oh man,
oh,
look at Alex.
The threats have expanded.
A late charge here.
But yeah, because I think it's a good balance between the Roll20, which is literally just a math
number
macro.
generator.
Yeah, and that other thing that doesn't matter. It's like a loose competitor.
Don't they have like the dice that can like roll across the screen too? Like 3D.
They may have that in a paid option. I don't think that's in the free option.
Okay.
But they have that. Then that other thing that's like a loose competitor of yours. That which shall not be named.
That's fine.
Where the dice are very viscerally rolled.
Right.
But I also occasionally will just throw them off of the table.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. When you're the slave to the physics engine, just whatever happens.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it's like, oh, there's a lag spike, and the dice are gone.
Right.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna skip my turn and get rid of this fox.
So you're gonna rely on me to do something about Alex.
Yes. Oh, I currently. Okay, so it's Alex's card. No, it's your card. I can't delete it. Is that normal?
Maybe. I didn't tell.
Okay.
I might have just flipped it over so you can see it, and if I do that, you're not allowed to delete it.
Rather than you dropping it.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, as soon as somebody owns it, we keep people from deleting them.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you can't just Wild West cheat during the game.
Although we did have some situations where I was playing with a guy and he was doing something like this when people weren't like paying attention. Just like move it off the screen from the other people.
So it couldn't be targeted.
Yeah, so they wouldn't notice it, and
so they'd forget. Where'd my hand go?
I swear that I had more cards in my hand.
Was this a friend of yours?
Yeah.
Not anymore.
It was 2 friends that I was playing in a game of Catan, and they kept monkeying with each other's cards, and it was like, all right, guys, this is the last time we're doing this. I'm gonna find somebody else to play with. All right, so of course, perfect.
Nice. No interference, just
exactly.
A natural one.
I finally get a roll without any monsters or beautiful creatures in my tree. And,
yeah, you're mixing our games, which is fine. We'll do a hybrid. Okay. Curse of Misfortune LumberJerks.
All right, so I'm gonna play this jerk on my tree.
Ooh, everyone's got their own.
And I'm gonna hover on the text here so that the viewers at home can see.
Oh, and I'm gonna pretend I'm psychic. The viewers at home can easily see the
psychic, or just watching the stream.
No, I'm not. Look at me. I'm looking right at this screen. Mother Nature card.
Okay.
Every other player grows back 1. That's my guess. I'm gonna say that.
All right.
Although I don't know why you wouldn't do that. I regret my guess.
I probably would play that right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Have you rolled yet, Alex? Sorry.
I have not.
Okay.
I was letting Austin have that great experience.
Just letting the moment pass.
Yeah. I wanted to revel in that for a little bit.
Okay, so if you get a chop again, this is a win here, probably. I'm trying to jinx you.
The crazier thing is if I had a chop again the whole time.
Wait,
this is that card I accidentally revealed.
Ooh, so what'd you play?
I'm playing a jerk card.
Oh, the rubber axe.
And okay. I'm so happy this happened because this gives me the chance to use our tagline. I've officially been chop blocked.
Yeah, chop block your friend.
Is that going to be like hashtag chop block is going to be on the tweets?
That's probably going to be in there pretty high.
It's
definitely going to be in the Kickstarter description. You know, it's right up on the edge of a not family friendly pun. But
so what I will ask you, Austin, is why didn't you play this for his whole turn?
Well, okay, because I wasn't thinking. I got so captivated by my psychic guess about your card that I didn't notice. Yeah, no, it would have been because I only got half the value out of this.
Yeah.
By the time you played the chop again, I should have played it up front. But I didn't. So
okay, that's fine.
Thanks for pointing that out.
You know who's not going to run into something like that? That's me.
Ooh,
no.
Early Springs. The early spring card grows 3 back on who they play. So you're playing.
And that's on James, right?
Yeah, right.
So there is a jerk card that allows you to ignore a jerk. If I remember, if that's how it's worded.
Yeah, a jerk or a grow card.
Yeah, and I was concerned that Austin had that hiding, which is why I was waiting to the last possible moment to use that. Once he showed me that he did not, in fact, have that, I saw no reason to wait any longer.
All right. So, well, now it's a great time for me to go ahead and roll a 6.
Feel free.
Oh, so close.
Okay, I'm hoping that my audio is a little bit louder now. I got a comment in chat that I was a little bit quiet. Let me know, Holistic Developer, if that doesn't improve it for you.
Holistic Developer, I hate to out Alex and I, but it might not be an audio issue. It might be a personality issue.
That's true.
I just have to be louder. I just got to be more intense.
Inversely, if you would like us to be quieter, we can probably try that as well.
Yeah, Alex has Italian in him. I have asshole in me, so we're both very loud people.
I can start typing again.
Yeah, that typing was extremely loud. Okay, so
I need a card. Oh, you're giving it to me now?
Oh, yeah, I'll give you a card. Sorry, I got distracted there.
Yeah, that's okay. That's how I didn't play that rubber axe card. All right, let's see.
And you rolled already, Austin?
Great.
Did I miss that?
Yep. Yeah. Oh, I rolled a 5. Could you give me a chop too?
Yep.
Yeah. Apparently, you really want Alex to win. I'm going to go ahead and play this watering can against Alex to grow back his card.
Okay, sounds good.
Making this slightly more plausible that he doesn't destroy us on his next turn.
Yeah, we'll stop him. Don't worry. Okay,
all right,
so
I'm done.
You're done. Heck yeah. Okay. Everybody can hear the robot talk to me.
Oh, James,
that time you did do it again.
I did it
again. You got another note that you're still a little
quiet.
We could be quieter to match him if it's just a consistency problem.
Yeah, I turned up the levels a little bit. We'll see if that kind of helps. Otherwise, I'll just yell like a maniac and wake my children up. Okay, so I have an awful hand. Just 3 of the same card? Because
I, for one, like your hand.
Garbage. So I'm going to put some wildlife here.
Holistic said that's better.
Okay, good. All right.
Yay.
So hopefully that at least hampers Alex a little bit. Let's see what he can do.
Well, let's just roll a 6 and call it a day. That's a little less than a 6, but
that's a 0 technically.
So this is getting into probably the territory of some of the longer
I was thinking that as well.
Longer versions of this game I've played. Usually by now somebody has closed it out. And the reason I think is we got those 2 specific jerk cards.
Yeah.
So the failure, the rubber axe, and then the early spring always kind of delays a victory.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play this card, and I'm also going to reveal that this card is probably my biggest pet peeve in this game's art design entirely.
Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, why is this your biggest pet peeve?
Because there's a card in here that is the super axe, which is used to make like the most efficient way to cut things. But we also have a chainsaw.
The super axe is a buzzsaw plus a flamethrower.
There is a flamethrower. Yeah, exactly.
It's true.
I don't really know how chopping trees works because I was born in 1992.
I mean, for what it's worth, if you look at our game design, clearly neither did Dave, because you don't just hack at it maliciously all the way to the top.
You just keep getting higher and higher and higher and take out pieces.
He's just weakening the tree all the way through and then gonna push it over.
You're essentially maximizing the tree's suffering to cut it down. All right, that's good. So we got another turn here to make it happen, Austin.
All right, here we go. Oh, well.
The dice have gone crazy cold.
Yeah.
So your last game didn't have any dice in it. Are you?
It did not.
Pleased to have more kind of explicit randomization in this game? You know, do you like that now you're making a game that's throwing dice on the table and not explicitly a card game? You know,
it's tough. I like not being explicitly a card game, but personally, I think that card randomization feels less like I feel like people are less likely to blame the dice, you know, like you don't point your fingers as much when it's the cards. So I miss that a little bit. But yeah, we're looking into having like an oversized die with like a special icon for the critical chop. Like it's a component to play with, which we haven't had yet. So in that sense, it is very exciting.
Yeah, that's cool. You should do I'm just going to throw out ideas here. I know everybody loves it when a random guy just like throws ideas at them, but you should get it like wood.
Yeah.
Like a big wood die, you know, which would be nice thematically. Like
maybe
chopping down these trees just to make a piece of wood.
What'd you say, Alex? I didn't hear you.
He keeps pointing it out like this. He's like a wood die. And I envision his 4-year-old playing the game as he's like.
Yeah, actually, we're just gonna take that scanner box and put some icons on it and just roll it.
Yeah, exactly.
Alex, I'm gonna watering can you to grow back one of those branches.
I don't know. There are some video games use a system, and I forget the technical term for it, but it's like pseudo RNG in the sense that it starts off, if something's supposed to be 15%, it'll start off 15%, but every time it doesn't occur, the likelihood of it occurring slowly rises.
Yep.
So it becomes a little bit of an inevitability. That's something I like about card-based randomization, because you have kind of the same exact thing. I reference Gloomhaven just because of its popularity, and James, your familiarity with it, where it's in that I know my crit is coming, you know, because it is technically random when I get it, but the likelihood slowly increases.
Yeah.
For that reason, I personally am not a big fan of dice, but there are sometimes it is the simplest. It's you can't reinvent the wheel, and you can't build a better mousetrap. Like it's the
right.
The idiom. It's just if you want a simple random machine, it's a dice.
Well, yeah, and the cards, like what you're saying, it's the gambler's fallacy come to life.
Yes.
Like you can actually, like with a die, every time you roll it is independent of every other time you've rolled it. But with a deck of cards, if you're removing some and shuffling the rest and kind of going through, like you do get to, like, Misfortune Lane has a lot of randomization in it, but you are objectively risking something when you say a little bit like the wildlife. Like you're saying, I know there's only a 1 in 4 chance that I get the card I want, and I might bust. So should I do it or should I not? And that's what I like about randomness. So I feel like oftentimes dice don't accomplish that goal. But I think here with the wildlife, you're deciding, even though it's less likely, should you still risk it? And I think that touches upon what I do like about the randomness.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, you still get a little bit of that feel of rolling against odds that are stacked against you, which is kind of cool. And when you hit it, you get that like elation feeling of, oh man, I beat it, even though all you did was get one number out of 6. It's exactly what you were doing all the rest of the time, but it feels better for whatever reason.
Yeah. Noticing the 1s and 0s behind everything, like you can just out fun all games if you just zoom in close enough.
Correct. All right, so I got a 5.
Speaking of not fun anymore, James is winning.
I'm right in it now, baby.
7.
I'm back.
And he's a jerk card.
Yeah, and I do have the jerk, and this time I'm not gonna. All right, so I'm gonna chop again.
Oh, it's gonna be it.
Oh, the bacon and eggs.
Yeah,
I'm so
bacon
hungry
and
now.
eggs. That gives you the strength to chop the tree down. So, goodbye, bacon and eggs. And this is gonna be the 6. Here it comes.
No, it's not.
Okay, here we go.
Oh
no!
Yes! Yes!
This makes me feel so good.
Because I've done a lot of these developer and designer streams, and I usually just get stomped on because it's like heavy strategic, or there's good strategy in the game. So obviously there's not like a lot of strategy that I employed here, but it does feel good to win. So a question from chat. I'll quickly just chat about my setup because he missed the beginning, and we have some more viewers who probably missed it as well. So I wanted people to be able to see today kind of what things look like when we're playing. And so what we have here is the arm that's included in Vorpal board mounted above the table with an old junky Android phone in it. And then this is the play area, so you'll see my arms in there now. And so everything I'm changing here is getting high-res photos of it taken and streamed into the session. And then to my left here is the card scanning box. And any card that I'm going to pull off the top of the deck, I put it in the scanning box, and then it will appear in the session. So the goal today was sort of to see what it's like to be a host. We could have multiple people sitting here if we wanted to, and have like 2 remote, 2 local, whatever. But this is kind of what the experience is like for a host. I have a webcam over there attached to my PC, but that could just be a laptop or a tablet sitting on the table with you. So this is kind of what it looks like if you're going to host a game with no other physical humans present.
Well, and one thing I really liked about playing this on Vorpal board is it's fast. Like, this game is something that could conceivably take 10 minutes, even with 3 people. And I didn't get the impression at any point that we were being slowed down. I mean, sometimes James slowed us down, but that's a user error, not really the Vorpal board program.
Right.
But yeah, like the cards scanned in almost instantly. There's minimal lag from you flipping over anything with the trees. Like, it really just kind of chugged along. So
yeah, and so for people who have seen a bunch of our streams, some of the nitty-gritty details that we have going here is I did not stream the tabletop at super high res. So we can control how high res we stream the board, which can affect how quickly it will be refreshing imagery. Because this isn't a game that you have to like zoom in on the text or read little tiny text or something. And so when you're playing a game like this, where the camera can be pretty close to the board and the board doesn't have any tiny text elements, you're going to get really snappy board updating. But if we were playing like Pandemic or something and I had it at really, really high res, it comes in a little bit slower. So it just sort of depends on the game you're going to play. All right, so the card that I had was
it barbecue?
It was the skunk.
Okay.
And the skunk
You
is
still
super
had a great
powerful.
shot,
Yeah, I was just waiting.
Yeah, you were in a good position.
Yeah, exactly.
So a really fun card that didn't come up there are two of them in there. He already knows exactly what I'm talking about.
What, the hippies?
Yeah.
I didn't have the hippies in. I was going to talk about the hippies after the game because
cool.
they were an option. So
yeah, that totally works.
So yeah, I can segue it. This is the game at its simplest. Our goal is to add at least one, if not a couple more, stretch goal options that will specifically make the game more complicated. But inherently in the game, there are also hippie cards. I can't move the Tweety bird. I don't know who plays the Tweety bird. But there are hippie cards that are kind of included as an optional advanced play mode. There are two of these in the card. I love the art on these. I think it's great. As you can see, they are literally there. She is literally chained to the tree, and these are worse than wildlife, more rare than wildlife.
Very accurate to real life.
Right, yeah. And then there's hippie repellent that you can use to get rid of the hippies, right?
Yeah. Which I'm assuming you also didn't have in the deck.
I didn't, but I think I just accidentally put it in the... No, there it is. So we're going to add that guy too. So we're going to make this we're going to make this screen really full of stuff real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, so the biggest difference is that these hippie cards are they don't affect your rolls, but whenever someone plays like the fertilizer, which we talked a lot about, or any of the other grow cards, it forces the player who has a hippie in their tree to grow back 2 branches instead of just 1. And if you want to risk it, if you roll a 6, regardless of subtractions, then you can remove your hippie from your tree and just stick it on someone else's. But oftentimes the smarter move is just to forego your turn and discard the hippie entirely rather than hoping that you can pawn it off on someone. But that option does remain for anyone who just really wants to force that on someone else.
And that's cool. So I was going to ask you about this, but do you have other little tweaks and stuff that you're planning explicitly for stretch goals, or are you going to shy away from stretch goals, you think, in the campaign?
Our goal is, or do you want to get this?
Yeah, I'll try a little bit. We're open to stretch goals as a concept. We didn't have them in Misfortune Lane because it was our first game, and the biggest thing we didn't want to do is have multiple skews where some backers would get one version of the game and other backers would get others, and just clog up the whole process. But with this, we're looking into some stretch goals that won't be like deluxe editions, but will just apply to everyone. And besides sort of these hippie cards and the hippie repellent, there's also something we're toying around with, which is another set of advanced rules for difficulty tokens. So the idea would be if we were playing this 3-player game in that version, then we would each put markers on our trees. And so your tree, James, and my tree wouldn't be the same. Instead of uniformly getting a 3 or higher all the way through, your tree might need a 4 or higher at the base, but then only a 2 or higher at the top. And mine might be arranged in a different pattern. And ultimately, our trees would be the same difficulty on average, but it changes the play style. So it's not as simple as looking over and saying, oh, Alex has more branches chopped, we're going to mess with him. You actually have to weigh the pros and cons of like who's being bottlenecked by probability.
Cool.
And so just to make it a little less automated for players that really get into a groove and feel like they know the optimal play, we just want to be able to shake that up a little bit.
That's cool. So. And would you kind of vary the art for those trees as well, do you think?
We talked about doing that. That's one of the downsides of publishing a product that was mostly completed visually. We're thinking that we'll have tokens, like little dime-sized tokens that you would lay out, and that there would be an optional set of rules in the rule book that would detail like what the various tree setups could be.
Okay.
And then players would draft their tree at the beginning. So you might say like, oh, I want this one, or I want the one that's hard in the middle and easier on the ends and things like that. One of the pros of that is what I want to lean into is I really like when someone makes a game and then can send literally just a Kickstarter update to tell you there's a new way to play without you having to pay for anything, or like I'm really attracted to the idea that if we put these tokens in, we could come up with a rule set, and one email later there could be a new way to play where you could rearrange the existing pieces. So I don't want to get too locked in on the trees.
Sure,
and there's some practical reasons too, like cost. And if you notice how the tree is sort of just exactly the same width and goes all the way straight up.
Yep.
We asked Dave, the artist, about different tree designs, and he said one thing that's tricky with this much height on the tree is like, imagine even just like an evergreen, like a Christmas tree, you can't really get that effect of it being wide and then narrowing on these cards.
Yeah, you kind of like have to have them all look like redwoods a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we're a little stuck in this pattern, which is why the tokens are just more practical.
Well, no big deal. Just, have multiple card sizes, some tarot. No, that's no problem.
Yeah, and then we'll launch the Kickstarter in summer of 2020, and it'll be 6 months late. And
I do really, really, really think it's smart to have stretch goals that like add a crazy amount of new stuff. Make me very nervous, because a lot of times it either makes me feel like this hasn't been play tested, or they don't really even know what they're going to do with it, or it should have been part of the game or whatever. But what I do like is I really like people who do stretch goals and then just say, we're upgrading the components for everybody, or we're adding this single player mode for everybody, and it's not like you have to be in the right tier or whatever. I think people are doing a lot better job at just making things that I like, like upgraded components is something I really like. And I understand that if you're only going to hit your target barely, like maybe I won't get metal dice or metal coins or whatever. But like if you blow
giant
up,
wood dice
or giant, lawn die. But yeah, if somebody blows up, I like it. I like getting that email update that says, hey, we're upgrading you all to foil, these cards are going to be foil cards, or now we're doing metal coins. I mean, I think that's neat. That makes me feel good. But when it's like, now we have a new expansion, it makes me like,
I don't want to name drop anybody, but there was a Kickstarter somewhat recently that I backed on the ground floor, and it was already, I don't know, like $90 or $100. It was in euros, so I just pretended to understand. And I was like, oh, it's pretty expensive, but the concept is really cool. It feels like it's unique. And then every few days, they announced an expansion in the Kickstarter that was an add-on for like $20, $30, $40, $50 to my base price. And at a certain point, it felt like I don't want the game at all if I can't have all of it, and it's already too much. And so I just ended up backing out completely on the pledge, and I felt guilty, but it grew past me.
Right.
And I think that we really feel compelled to, especially as a small company and a new company, like whoever gets in on the ground floor, like retention is the most important. Like growth is very important, but like when someone comes in, we want them to stay in. And so we try to make everything feel organic. We try to have almost absurd response times on our Kickstarter. Like people feel stalked when I comment seconds after they've posted, but they don't know I'm compulsively at home just hitting refresh.
They didn't know how many times you've hit refresh. So.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's the angle we want to take for the foreseeable future.
Cool.
So
yeah, that's neat. I think Kickstarter should add a refresh count for you as a creator.
For other people to see, or just for us?
Just for you. I mean, it would be cool to compare it to other creators too. So like if they put it on a histogram of like, well, you're insane, you're way over here. That would be neat, because I know I've been scrolling down on my phone like over and over and over and over again. Yeah. So
and especially, and it is also be just great to see how it changes through the cycle of the campaign. Like those first couple days where you're just like the whole day you're sitting here waiting, watching the numbers just change.
Yeah, and I don't know how your guys' campaign was, but like that mid desert is awful.
I agree.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I checked the slope. I felt it in my memory, but I checked and it's there. Yeah, there's just this like deep depression in the middle section of the campaign.
Yeah, and I don't know how much you guys had it, but we had, people who in the midpoint took off. So certain days we would, I think we had a day where we went negative, and it was like the darkest day because we actually lost money. Well, we didn't lose money. We lost pledge quantity.
The potential of we had, I don't know if we had that specifically happen, but we had the benefit of like a $24 price point.
Sure.
So people were like, well, it happens, it doesn't happen. Like they were sort of on for the ride. But it's a problem. I spent a while debating the length because I guess the average Kickstarter, the options typically range like 14 days, 22 days, or 30 days. And 22 days, I think, is what we did. And it still felt long, like a very long time.
Yeah, especially when you have like the front end and the back end, right?
Yeah.
And for us, I think we actually went like 32 days or something, mainly because we kind of thought we didn't do enough of like building an audience up front. So we knew we were going to do like all these Twitch streams and try to like bring in audience over the course of the campaign. But even so, I think you get a ton of backers up front.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, the chances that another huge Kickstarter has dropped, that they're going to say, oh, you know what? I'm going to go back Bloodborne or whatever, like every week there's another one.
It's a really delicate balance. And that's a great point, because what I thought when we were debating it originally was that the important thing was to try to cross 2 pay periods.
That's actually Holistic just said that as well.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah. Cause you want people to fresh off their paycheck, blow their money on your Kickstarter,
but that's when you feel really dirty too. Like, I don't know how you guys.
Oh no,
feel.
I don't. I say go for it.
Well, but the thing that I have, it just kind of feels a little bit icky, is like the whole idea is like generate hype, generate fear of missing out, do every trick in the book psychologically to try to sort of induce somebody to buy something, which maybe is just like getting comfortable with selling a consumer product, because honestly that's kind of like all marketing, right? But yeah, like we're a high price point, right? We have like some smaller entry tiers, but like if you want to get everything, like we're up in the couple $100 to $50 range. And I'm always like, oh man, if somebody's like backing like that's a big commitment to us financially. And so that, I don't know, that makes me a little bit uncomfortable as somebody who's never gone directly to consumers before.
And I think part of it is like Alex and I, it's just the two of us, and this project Dave has done a lot more than we have overall, but like the Howling Hog Games is a 2-man company, and I think that it makes sense that someone who is a game designer is not necessarily equally comfortable being in marketing and publishing. And like, I think that it's not necessarily that the 3 of us need to get more comfortable being shills for ourselves. It's that like we have to grow just past the point where someone is hired to be shills for us, and then like they can sort of scum their way through the marketing of the world, and we can sit back and be like, well, we're just purely designers and enjoying the process.
So you're like advocating for us to become fat cats, essentially?
Yeah.
Austin has a great view of capitalism across the board and like everything.
I'll find somebody else to manipulate people for me.
Yeah, and I'll make sure that those people get a good product, and the person who's doing the manipulating gets great maternity leave. But I just want someone else to make those decisions.
I'm always incredibly impressed by the companies that do it really, really well. You look at a campaign like that most recent like Root expansion campaign. It's just like phenomenally run. They're very responsive. They have their act together with a shipping and a timeline, and then they like resell a lot of their old stuff that you might not be able to get easily at your own like local store. So you can like buy neoprene mats of the board, and like they really have their act together to like make you want to jump in on their campaigns. And I'm sure there's a ton of work that goes into those. It's not like that's just coming fully formed out of somebody's brain, but I am really, after doing this one time, it's like there's a ton of work that goes into that, and they do a phenomenal job at it. But that's also why they make millions of dollars on their
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
My goal, I've decided based on this stream, I want us to, if we can like double Curse of Misfortune Lane with LumberJerks, then I will be immediately mailing you, James, a large wooden lawn die.
Yes. I want the giant die. It's funny. I've actually been looking at. I was never like a dice person. There's like a lot of subculture in the tabletop.
Absolutely, big time.
Yeah.
And I've been looking a lot at like dice Kickstarters, and I'm shocked at like I didn't know there were like that many going on and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's one, if you guys are dice guys, called Ice Cream Dice. Have you seen that? Like this guy made. They look like ice cream flavors. There's like a Neapolitan die and like a mint chocolate chip and stuff, and like they look really good. Like they look like appetizing. Like he's a great photographer of the dice as well. And it's the only time that I've ever been like, man, maybe I want to get in on this dice. The Kickstarter was a while ago. It's already done.
Oh yeah, I see the Kickstarter now.
But yeah, it's really neat.
Those are fun.
Yeah, and his Kickstarter video is him like pouring them in his mouth and stuff.
He's hitting all the target markets.
Yeah, it kind of got a little bit. I don't know. It felt weird watching.
He was like, "And now I'm going to sit on this cake."
Like I need somebody else in the room with me while I watch this.
Yeah. But yeah, I that's cool. So if you end up wanting to make like metal or wood dice, like there's a billion people who seem to know how to do that stuff. So.
I feel like the
minifigures.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. That's the bar. I feel like going from like black and white to color. Like if suddenly you have like minifigures in your game, like if you get miniatures, then like I almost feel like Kickstarter should have a separate entire genre for miniatures games, like as its own category, because every time I see a game and I'm like, that's really cool. Oh, it costs $100 more than I expected. Okay, there's a lot of really neat plastic in it. Like, I have a $400 Batman game sitting 3 feet to my right.
Have you played it yet?
I have played it a couple times.
How do you like it?
I like it a lot. It's honestly the first of its kind I've ever played, so I'm by no means an expert. But I'm a huge shill for Batman, and I liked the game. I will say that one thing that is a problem is diminishing returns. Like, I would have loved this game, the Batman game, just as much at a half or a third or a quarter of the price point with fewer miniatures.
Right.
And I definitely had the fear of missing out when I went all in on the pledge. But like there's objectively not a big difference between a card with character art and abilities and descriptions than there are mini figures. Like they're another way to look at it. But
But unfortunately, I know someone personally, other than you, that bought that exact game.
Yeah.
With no intention of ever playing the game.
Yeah, just to paint the
right.
And they were like, "Oh, I wanted to do a D&D session based on Batman."
Yep.
And so they're like, "I will take all this and put it aside, and I'll take all these minifigures, and now I have Arkham D&D for as long as I want it."
And I do wonder like how much that's the market, because the game holds up and I like the game a lot. But I feel like there's probably a sizable amount of people who back miniatures games for the miniatures. Like you can package them alone.
Yeah, like I think there was a lot of people were saying that about the Planet of the Apes campaign that had like a lot of trees, like had some cool trees, and then like a lot of different like ape minis and stuff. And the comments I saw on it were like, this game looks kind of dry, and there's no rule book yet. And so, like, is this successful and popular just because of the minis? And, like, maybe it is, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes it makes it hard to tell when you look at the campaign if it's more like how good the game is compared to the miniatures. Like, I think Gloomhaven does a really good. I hate to always just bring up Gloomhaven, but it's like my obsession.
No, what do you?
It's a gold standard.
Yeah, I think Isaac did a very smart thing there, where the enemies are standees and the heroes are miniatures. So he only had like 14 miniatures or however many characters there are, but then he can have this huge set of enemies that are all cardboard, and if you want to get like some Reaper minis or something and put monsters in, you can, and then you can make your own experience more premium or whatever.
Yeah,
but,
and
I think that's a really smart idea that he did that.
Yeah,
I can imagine what the price point of Gloomhaven would have been if he had gotten minifigures.
Yeah, I don't think he could have even made the game. There's just too many enemies.
A smaller example of that would be Dead of Winter, a game that I really enjoy, but does not need miniatures. It has standees for everybody, the zombies and the characters, and the price point would be way past what would be reasonable if like you replaced all of those with 3D models. And like and the thing about miniatures, it's just not even components. That's not even like what I think about it. It's all the middlemen. Like we would have to come up with a whole new team if we wanted to develop 3D art and 3D models and a different manufacturer. And it's I think that we have a very adaptive opinion because it's a beast we could not tackle right now.
That's game number 3. That's
game number 3. Great, cool.
Austin can confirm how often I do that. Or we'll talk about a game design. We're like, oh, we can make that, like, and that could have many. Because we look at LumberJerks and we're like, can we ham fist a miniature in here somewhere?
You could. You could have little
bears.
You know, like you could have the LumberJerk going up the tree as he's cutting it. Come on, do some miniatures, guys.
Yeah, Alex wants half as many backers at twice the price. That's his vision for the company.
But you said it yourself. Like the Planet of the Apes game didn't have a manual. Like so, I
don't know if I want to go on the record and say it definitely didn't. But I think it was. I think it was iffy. I think it was.
That game didn't fund, right?
I think they canceled it.
Yeah, so I think you're allowed to say whatever you want. I think while a game is canceled, like a game specifically canceled, and there's been some questions about it, like maybe we have a couple weeks where we can sort of like run our mouths and not get in trouble.
Well, the tricky thing, and it's a bummer because another one that I was really excited for was the District 9 game. I don't know if you guys saw that. It was on there for a while and then it got canceled. And that one had, like, the art style was cool. I would love to play a game in District 9. It was kind of like you moving around trying to control, for lack of a better term, like the aliens or whatever they're called in the movies. And it had unbelievable art. Like, obviously, they'd spent a ton of money designing these things and doing the 3D sculptures and all that stuff. But then, like, the game, it was a little bit unclear if the game was good or not. And it's like, man, I would have loved to get in on this.
Yeah.
But the game
I can see that right now.
Seemed not as good.
It had a funding goal of $150,000.
Yeah.
And, like, I mean, I'm sure that they had a price based off of what went into it. Our model, like LumberJerks, we haven't settled on something specifically, but we want to drop our funding goal down dramatically because we were pleasantly surprised that after funding on Kickstarter, there's a good turnaround into retail through distribution. And so we would rather risk maybe making negative dollars on the Kickstarter itself, knowing that we can actually make it anyway, and then recoup the losses a few months later and have that funding goal be low. Like I'd rather have each backer be a sizable, and I mean Vorpal board has the same deal. Like I think 500 backers total is what's needed, right?
I mean, and the average pledges we've been getting, it's probably even less. It's probably like 400 or 350.
Yeah,
so it's each one would be a large percentage of the total.
And I feel like that's a more appealing model to me because it's a great way to ensure that backers feel valued and validated. Like if they're a sizable percentage of your base, then the back and forth I think is more organic. Like they don't feel lost in a sea of faces, and you really feel like you're building a community of people. So
I also think when you fund, you get a little bump too. You know, I think that's
definitely.
one of the things that we've personally struggled with is like, so our target was 50,000. We're at like 32,000, I think, currently, and I'm a little bit kicking myself to say like, man, if we had set it at 40, we'd be like right there, and then we'd probably, when we hit it, bump up once people see it that it gets funded. So because there's a lot of people I think that sit and wait and just sort of see how close is this. So we'll see, you know. But like all this stuff is hindsight is 2020. I mean, it's just crazy.
Totally.
It's so
that was
a gamble.
Yeah.
You have to set a price point somewhere. You have to set the time period. And I think if we had been in your position, we would have done the longer Kickstarter for your project where we didn't ours. It's a different beast.
Yep.
You guys have
the biggest thing for our target is like we're kind of thinking it your way too. Is that like if we want this to work and we set it at like $15,000, like we couldn't make it work, right? So we don't want to lie about what we think it's going to take to make it work and then pray for the big win.
Well, and Vorpal board's very different because like I don't know what the retail model would even be because it's obviously not our field because it's definitely more tech based. But it's like like after you get into people's hands, like would you hope for a distribution deal with like Best Buy? You know what I mean? Like where does it go? Like what store? Like I have
in terms of the hardware.
Yeah, like I don't see it in Target. You know,
I mean
like,
we have thoughts that if we iterate and do future versions and like do an all-in-one box that has like a camera in it so you don't need a cell phone, like we could actually try to make it more of like a retail-y type consumer product. But for this one, like no chance. I mean, we're going to sell this online. We're not going to have it in retail anywhere.
Yeah, and that's definitely the, like, on Kickstarter, there have been projects where I like everything about it, but then I see the funding goal and I suddenly don't believe it.
Right.
I'm like, there's no way this is happening for 2,000. Like if the funding goal is too low, even if the game seems good, I suddenly don't trust it. It's like a weird, like, oh, this is free, no thank you, it's probably poison, I'd rather pay $10 for that pretzel, you know, like it gives you some confidence.
I think like if somebody's looking at our Kickstarter, right, nobody knows who we are. It's not like we're established in any capacity. We're a software product as well, which have like bad histories on Kickstarter of just sort of turning into vaporware. And if you say, oh, I'm going to like build this whole system that does all this streaming, it's got apps, it's got the whole nine, and we're going to do it for $20,000, people are going to be like, get out of here, man.
You just seem ill prepared.
Right.
Like, beyond it just being like a snake oil salesman.
Correct.
They haven't even done the research on this.
Right. Like we're going to give the money and they're going to try to do it, but they're going to fail. And so we wanted to make sure we were setting ourselves up for continued success. So, you know, it is what it is.
One nice thing, I do believe and hope that Vorpal Board's Kickstarter will fund in the next couple days. If it doesn't, the nice thing about your project specifically is that I have a feeling the vast majority of the people that backed it now would come back to it. You know, I personally, I want it and I can't get it if it doesn't fund. So I will return, you know, like I'm hoping, you know, that mailing list is going to stay active and get us back in.
Yeah. So. I mean, we're not sure what platform we'll use. So we're not sure if we'll try to organically build like a larger like beta group, produce some more units and get them out in the field and actually get people using it. Like spend more time essentially building a community around it before attempting any sort of other crowdfunding. And also potentially if we can massage that mailing list, like maybe just pre-sell it ourselves and not do Kickstarter at all. We'll see. I mean, it's just we're kind of not thinking about it yet. We have a couple of plans in the back of our heads, but we're trying to stay just sort of positive as we come into
Absolutely.
Totally.
And you know what's fun is we have it end on the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend, which maybe we should have thought through a little bit better. We didn't realize it was Memorial Day weekend when we set the timeline. So,
well,
there are
if
a lot of people sitting around.
If it funds, my welcome dinner the night before my wedding will be in celebration of the successful funding.
Awesome. Cool. So sorry for the sidebar specific to Vorpal board here, but I am always very interested in talking to creators about their Kickstarter experience. Like all of us are like just 2 and 3 person teams, like trying this stuff. And like so much of it feels like guessing and checking. So like, it's nice to chat with other people who have gone through it essentially.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So other stuff that you potentially want to talk about with this title. Anything we didn't cover?
Alex, any thoughts on that? I feel pretty good. We're looking at late summer.
Okay.
We're looking to have a lower funding goal, cheaper price point than Curse of Misfortune Lane. We have every expectation that we can turn this around quickly. We'll probably still have a very conservative estimate on the Kickstarter, but
would it be? Do you think it would be like targeting holidays 2019, or is that too soon?
That would not be something we would say overtly. That may be our secret goal.
Okay. Yeah, it could be achievable because we did Misfortune Lane. We estimated 12 months and we delivered it in about 8 months, 9 months. And I'd like to think we could even beat that this time around. But we would probably, like, if we launched in July, hypothetically, we would throw down like a February or March on there, something achievable.
In a tangent, some of the things we're trying to prepare for right now are even just like, there have been a lot of talk about tariff changes.
Yeah, I was about to ask that. Yep.
Yeah. So some of the things that we're trying to prepare for right now are the things that are outside of our control, which thankfully we're not knee deep in game development this time like we were with Misfortune. So it gives us a little bit more avenue to pay attention to those things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we are across the board trying to lower every price point. The Kickstarter goal, the manufacturing cost, the price point for the consumer, just across the board. We want to bring all of those down. We got a little bit of feedback. Most of the feedback was positive, that like, hey, look, the box is this big, how great.
Yeah.
But I mean, actually.
Oh yeah, you've got one on hand. Yeah. So to add on to what he's saying is, it's really convenient for a consumer, but like for a retailer, shelf space is pretty limited. Yeah. To have, there's a lot of reflection. There you go. A little bit higher. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, there are a lot of like little decisions like that. But the tariffs are not great for the industry, but having a small box game, having a game we want to be cheap and family friendly, like we're really trying to hit with this game in particular, a market where people who are going on to Kickstarter to back their game or games for the month just decide to add this to their lineup. Like, we don't expect anyone to devote their board game budget for the month to this game in particular, but we really hope that it's appealing enough, cheap enough, compact enough that it's something people are just like, you know what, I want this, I'm going to get it too. Like, so.
Yeah, and I think you guys have a lot of the boxes checked. I think the art's really good. I think you'll be able to make a really nice looking Kickstarter page thematically with like the tree, because Kickstarter pages are like CVS receipts, right? So
yeah, exactly.
If you can make a really tall tree or whatever, free cheers, zones. I mean, I don't know. I think this is a good game. I think it hits a target that isn't maybe that well represented on Kickstarter currently, which is family friendly, but still fun to play. Like, so many family friendly games are awful. Because they're like the classics or whatever, or it's just like another rebranding of Monopoly or whatever, right? But this is a game that is fast enough that like I'll play this multiple times this week already with my kids right after dinner before they go to bed. And that's not, I don't think there's a lot of those on Kickstarter. Like, there's a lot of small games, but they're still kind of complicated, it seems like. Like this, an 8-year-old definitely can play it, no problem.
Yeah. A huge goal for this game is to have it be something that is fun if you're 8 or even younger, but isn't mind numbing as the parent, because we're coming up on a whole new generation of gamers. I mean, as you two continue to indoctrinate children, specifically your own, into the industry, like there needs to be something that there's still like if the adult playing doesn't have that spark of enjoyment while they're playing it, like it's sort of gonna die out, so we are incidentally in that market. It wasn't necessarily our goal as a company, but this will be our second game where the age limit is below preteen, so we really want this to hit kitchen tables, doesn't have to be like mahogany felt man cave tables. Like we want this to hit kitchen tables.
Yeah, this has been my living room floor game, actually. So it
even better.
It hasn't been a table yet because my son will knock everything everywhere. So.
That's exactly. I mean, you gave us the best compliment we can have at this point, where it's like, I just played it twice after dinner.
Right.
That's it. That's the market. That's what we want. We want something
super quick to set up, super quick to put away. There's literally one pile of cards and then the trees, right? So it hits all the boxes for me. The other big thing that, I don't know if you've thought about, is that the cards are such that you don't really need to know how to read too well to play them. Because you can, once you know that the card that looks like this one is a jerk card, and this kind that has the grow word on it, like what it does. My son's 4 and knows what the grow card does, and he knows what the bonus chop card does. The jerks he doesn't know because he hasn't memorized them, but like he can essentially play just because he doesn't have to read the cards.
And honestly, there's a version of this game for even younger than 8 where you just remove the jerk cards. Like the game doesn't need them to play and would be even easier to get in at a younger age. That's
actually smart. I don't think that's in the instruction book currently. That would not be a bad thing to put in that instruction book.
Yeah, as like not only an advanced variant, but like an easy variant.
Yeah.
Come up with a good word for that.
Yeah, there's got to be a better word than easy. Beginner's variant.
Or something. I mean, because I do think absolutely younger kids than 8 would be totally fine with this if you didn't have the jerk cards in there. Yeah.
The other thing about I don't normally lean towards like almost micro games where a game can be played conceivably in 10 minutes, but having it be able to be played by someone as young as like 6 or 7 or 8 years old, I think it's almost essential, because you need to be able to play the whole game and have a kid lose maybe to their sibling and be upset about it and then play again. Like you need to be able to instantly refresh that experience for them.
Yeah, and I'm going to have my children play each other by themselves. I'll try that and I'll see how it goes.
Okay. If a fist fight ensues, we hold no legal responsibility.
Yeah, they play a lot of war against each other, which is mind-numbing, and they always want me to play war with them, and it's like...
what's the point?
So this, if I can shift their focus off of war to this, that'll be a big win for me. But yeah, and I'm also thinking about doing a stream with my daughter, a Twitch stream where she and I play this together, because she's kind of been itching to get on the stream with Dad.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with that quite yet. But okay, cool. Like I think you're smart. I think you're hitting an area that is underserved. I just hope there's enough people on Kickstarter looking for those types of games. I certainly am, because looking through my closet, I don't have a lot of games that I can play with both my kids. Not yet. So
yeah, that's definitely our biggest barrier with LumberJerks and even Misfortune Lane, is that there's definitely people who would pay for this game if it were just in a Target, but we don't know how to convince them to make a Kickstarter account.
Right.
Like there's that discrepancy between like who is tech savvy and who is the right market for this game. So we're just, that's part of why we've really liked that turnaround with retail, is like we know we can say like there aren't that many people on Kickstarter, but if we can get it into their hands, we can sort of snowball this into getting onto other people's living room floors.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Ballistic said the same thing. They're on the same page of scaling the rules, and I think like that is our goal with those difficulty tokens. This way, we have the spectrum of removing the jerk cards to changing the rules depending on where you are in your tree, to where the game can be. And I mean, I don't know, maybe every time you chop, you also take a drink. And now you have a full game from 6 years old to 21 years old.
Yeah. We're going to have an NSFW variant.
It's too hot for TV. One thing and I was actually thinking while I was playing it with my kids, like if there was any way that it even made sense to like handicap the trees based on your experience, right? So like I could make my tree harder than my kids, but like the game has enough randomization in it that I don't think you can make it harder just for one player and not another player.
Right.
But if you did want to do that, that's a great example of if those difficulty tokens are in play,
right?
There could be another variant where like, hey, parents with kids, the parents play with the tokens on theirs and the kids don't, just like giving them just like another 5-10% boost of likelihood that they'll just win, because I mean, I feel like you probably occasionally your night would be better if your kid beat you, but you can't make them win without lying to them. Yep. So just sort of tipping the scale in their favor would be a completely optional thing that's one of those things where rule books that's what I'm most frustrated with. Rule books are very limiting. It feels like a very final document that you put in the game and people treat it like the Bible. Yep. But I think every game I've loved, I've made up my own rules and changed it, not because it wasn't good, but because I wanted it to grow and I wasn't going to wait a year for them to make an expansion. So we definitely want to
stay off Board Game Reddit. Don't you go on there with those opinions. You're breaking the rules, man.
Oh, no.
You get the feedback, apparently, that everybody's been playing Uno wrong for the past 30 years.
I got a whiff of that, but I didn't catch what the rule was.
Because technically the rule is that you cannot play a draw 4 in response to a draw 4 or a draw 2 to like bounce it past. Huh. You just have to like accept the draw 4 and be defeated and draw your 4 cards. And Uno like tweeted out like, no, this is the official rule. And people responded to them. And they're like, no, you're wrong.
That's the danger. Like Monopoly is one of those games that I think probably is played incorrectly more than it is played correctly. And like, Monopoly, I think James is frozen.
I actually just lost.
But he's frozen to you too, right?
Okay. So I'm going to have to refresh. People in the chat.
Yeah, this is Vorpal board. Come here.
Oh man, you guys are getting to see what happens on a refresh. Sorry. I'm going to join back in.
Little trade.
Hey, I'm back.
Okay.
Oh man.
I was just saying it's ironic because like Monopoly is a game that's like one of the classics and is played incorrectly very often, and the correct version is a better, more balanced game. So it can go both ways, like if like people can pervert a game beyond its original intent, they can Cronenberg the whole thing. But
yeah, like, and it is kind of funny to think that you're told after 20 years that like you've been playing a game wrong, especially one of the classics like that.
Yeah,
that's actually kind of a funny thing to have happen, I feel like.
Well, and it happens with non-classics. Alex and I played Arkham Horror wrong 3 or 4 times in a row before we got it right.
Yeah,
to be honest, I'm probably still playing it wrong.
Yeah,
that's part of the fun, is realizing what errors you've been making in Gloomhaven or Zombicide or Arkham Horror.
Those big games, and it's like, oh wait, this is all wrong.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. All right, so everybody got to see what happens when you refresh a game. So I came back in, and then like all the cards pop back in. So everyone got to see like a reload there.
Cool.
Yeah, it was pretty fast.
Unexpected reload. Yeah.
We just tried to run away with the stream while you were gone. Like,
yeah, we claimed ownership of Vorpal Board.
Well, you know what's funny is that people see my screen, so you guys were not on the screen.
So we were talking to each other.
Yes.
Well, we amused ourselves. Yeah, we definitely don't know enough about Twitch to understand what just happened.
So yeah, essentially, since I'm wanting in a web browser, I'm just streaming whatever's in my web browser. So once I lost you guys, they lost you as well.
That makes sense.
Cool. So thanks for coming on the stream. I appreciate it. I'm glad I was able to get this game on the table before Austin, your upcoming nuptials. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And for sure, a big good luck on your guys' Kickstarter. I'm certainly going to be a backer. And hopefully everybody who's watching will be backers as well. And if anyone's watching and has not experienced or seen Curse of Misfortune Lane, we do have videos of us playing that up on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, or on highlights here inside the Twitch channel. So definitely check that one out as well. And if you haven't come to the Vorpal Board Kickstarter, please go check it out. We have 4 days left, and we're kind of coming up to the end. So if you have questions about how anything works, definitely reach out to me on Twitter. I'm at Vorpalboard. Were you guys just out at Howling Hog Games? What's your
yeah. So on Twitter, it's at Howling Hog Games. And if they want to follow us on Kickstarter, Howling Hog Games. And then if you want more real-time updates on LumberJerks pre-Kickstarter, there's a LumberJerks Facebook page right now. It's at LumberJerks Game. At LumberJerks is some band, and they have a weird page. Don't go there. I fell down the rabbit hole on that. But yeah, our Twitter is going to be very frequently updated with both retweets of Vorpal Board and posts about LumberJerks. So
yeah, thanks
that's definitely that's the all-in resource is our Twitter account at Howling Hog Games. Yeah.
Cool. Perfect. All right. Good luck with the tornado. Hopefully you live.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm good so far. So maybe I can just ride it to DC rather than have to catch a flight tomorrow.
Oh, you're getting married in DC?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I
So
grew
maybe
up
you can get to DC.
I grew up in the DC area, so I don't
nice.
get back there as much as I used to. But
yeah, my fiance grew up there. So.
Oh, okay. Where at? This is about to turn into a DC centric stream.
Well, it's not where she grew up, but her family for a long time has been living in Alexandria.
Oh, okay. I went to high school in Alexandria, so
nice.
Yeah, weird. Small world. Oh, man.
Turns out this is James's really sneaky last-minute attempt to get invited to DC. You're more than welcome to show up.
I'll
you know
be
what?
there.
I'm not going to say more. This is live.
Hey, right. Yeah, you're going to get a lot of people showing up to your wedding. But yeah, I love having you guys on. So let me know as you get closer to the campaign if we can do anything to help out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thanks for playing around.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
In about 4 days.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Eesh.
Yeah. Come on.
I know. I'm trying to stay positive. All right. Good night, everybody.